Then there is the issue of the upper airspace, which is controlled by Trinidad. And they make the money from the space. That's part of your property. And persons find it difficult to grasp what this is about. It's simple. During colonialism, from Trinidad all up to St. Kitts, Nevis, there's something which is called the Piarco Flight Information Region. It was run by the colonial government and a private firm. And after independence, Dr. Eric Williams, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, organized for Trinidad to control this as a successor. But Barbados is locked out, and so too the OECS countries. From the management of the space, from the any benefits from it, there's no transparency in relation to the accounting, nothing at all. And you may say, well, what happened to it with Martinique and Guadeloupe? Well, the French had worked out an arrangement with the British, and that simply continued from the time of colonialism now with the Piarco Flight Information Region. So that matter we need to sort out. Then the matter of, well, this relates not only to Trinidad but also Jamaica, one or two other countries too, but mainly those two. The payment of money is into the Caricom Development Fund. You see, the way the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas is established, I want to use this opportunity so persons could be quote-unquote educated on it. The treaty, the founders of Caricom, and I signed on to the treaty, in the revised treaty, in July 2001 in the Bahamas after I became Prime Minister. There's a chapter 7 in the treaty which really acknowledges that the countries from a trading standpoint are unequally yoked. But the chapter 7 provisions are to help to balance things off for disadvantaged countries, regions, and sectors. And within that chapter 7, you have Article 158, which establishes the Caricom Development Fund, from which you can get money to borrow cheaply for disadvantaged countries, regions, and sectors. But the cycles, everybody has to put money in it. We pay our subscription to the fund. But when we pay our subscription to the fund, we can get back what we put in as a grant, plus borrow money, and borrow cheaply. But you first of all have to have money in the fund. The first cycle, there was much more money put in the fund, countries which were assessed. Then, the second cycle, there was a reduction. And the third cycle, there's even further reduction. But even this further reduction, there is a reluctance of some countries to make their assessed contributions. So it's out of that fund which would help to make some balance. Similarly, in that same chapter 7 is Article 164, under which we get the protection for our flour. For instance, our flour. And any country which produces, say, flour in the OECS will have the OECS market. And the countries outside of the OECS would have to pay what is the equivalent of an external tariff over and above the free movement of the flour, the free trading of that flour. So the Trinidad flour will be a little bit more expensive if it were to come in because of this additional duty arrangement. But it's every so many years you have to go to renew it. And there's no doubt that the Trinidad manufacturers of flour love to control our market, but Article 164 gives us this avenue for a protection. But that protection is not assured on a permanent basis. But all of these things, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, well, I spoke to him on the Sunday. On the Monday, after I spoke at the conference, he said that he had spoken to the Prime Minister and she wants to engage in us with a constructive discussion, including a matter which we had concluded with Kamala before she left office. Because we lost, the OECS countries lost about 1.6 billion EC dollars, $600 million US or thereabouts, on Clico by coup. That was the potential damage and loss. Now, they agreed with us because they took care of their people in Trinidad under Patrick Manning. So by the time Kamala came to office, there was this open wound. They take care of them down there. You use the premiums from St. Vincent to buy stuff in Trinidad. What about us? So we came to a conclusion about 400 million US dollars. Trinidad to pay us. Kamala paid 36 million during our administration. But since then, the succeeding government in Trinidad, over the succeeding 10 years, so they recognizing that and paid nothing towards it. So that's still an indebtedness which is there. But all of these things, we have to, our government has agreed that we must have constructive conversations. And I will be sending a communication to Kamala and for us to arrange at some time for us to have a meeting.